Trump signs executive order to make showers great again, ending Obama-Biden war on water pressure. You know, it was maybe 10 years ago, I realized the whole water conservation thing was fake.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Greenpeace famously had these toilets, says urban legend, where it's a 2-step toilet where you step up onto the seat and then sit on the top and you do your number one business up top. Then you climb down to the bottom to do your second business and then flush with your first business.
Okay.
And they do it because they save water. I heard that. I do know that they had offices that didn't. They were waterless systems.
Yep.
So after you would go, it would drain straight away, and so it would smell. The issue, the reason why we use water for toilets is that there's the curve, and so the water pools and it blocks the gases from coming up.
Yeah.
And so when you flush, the water pressure pushes everything down.
It was Thomas Crapper that invented that.
Was it really?
Yeah, that's where they got the word crap from. I'm pretty sure it's Thomas Crapper.
But so I don't know why.
Double check that.
But the left has been adamant on reducing water use. Now, this makes sense locally in some places. Like if you live in a Great Lakes city, lake depletion is a real issue. But this universal, national, everybody must use low flow shower heads makes no sense. And then it was really something when I got my first well and I was like, oh, water conservation is fake. We're on well water here. It's like, it's literally impossible for us to run out of water. Maybe if 50,000 people all moved to the exact same spot and all started tapping into that shore, the groundwater would get sucked out or whatever. But for the most part, most people live in areas where there's a groundwater table that's replenished all the time, and they're not putting a dent in it at all. So the left has been adamant on this. Your toilets don't flush properly. Your showers don't flow properly. And then passing regulations to ban people from being able to buy showers that can actually clean you off. So Trump signed an executive order. I guess that's why, ending the war on water pressure.
Oh. This is in the same vein as the toilets that don't flush that Rand Paul was talking about. It was like right after he got into Congress and he was complaining in some committee meeting. He was complaining about toilets that don't have the same water pressure because the EPA has decided that the toilets have used too much water, and so they want to limit the amount. And I do think that the idea of needing to conserve water is probably overblown, at least regionally, right? So here on the East Coast, I don't think that you need to really conserve water. We get plenty of rain. It's not a problem. In California, of course, that's probably true. You do have to conserve water. There's a desert, and there's 9 or 10 million people in the greater Los Angeles area alone. Never mind the whole country. I'm sorry, the whole state. But still, like the idea that it has to be nationwide is ridiculous. And this goes to the idea that we should have different laws for different parts of the country. The United States is too big with too much variety in both the types of temperatures and stuff like that, or the types of people. The laws in Florida are not going to be the same as the laws in Washington State. They shouldn't.
Yep. And so while this may be silly, it plays right into the gun laws that Democrats try imposing, where banning, 762 in New York might make sense. Some dude's like he's in a tower, in Manhattan. Someone breaks into his apartment, so he picks up his Scar 20S and just goes bam, 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 bam. Just the bullets are shredding through the walls and flying through multiple units, ripping. Maybe there. I remember we had Luke on the show, and he was like, "Well, then maybe we ban just 308s," and I'm like, "Aha, I got you, gun grabber." Or maybe we just put the responsibility on the individuals, and you don't use those kinds of weapons in those close quarters.
Yeah.
But certainly, if you live in the middle of nowhere and you're on a big acreage like a farm, you will need longer range weapons and better protection. The way the law works, basically, the way the judges interpret laws. So here's my favorite. New Jersey. If an intruder comes onto your property, you can't defend yourself. If you are in your home and an intruder is trying to break into your home, you can't defend yourself. If the intruder breaks into your home and you have any means of escape, you cannot defend yourself. You are required to flee. And the argument is, when I asked the police about this, they said, think about what you're saying. If someone broke into your house and you had the ability to flee, you are telling a judge, I would rather kill a man than stand outside. And so they will get you on murder. They will say, okay, murder. In Maryland, if you are on your property outside raking the leaves and some guy runs up to you and says, I'm going to get you and kill you, you are required to flee into your home. If you are inside your home and an individual tries to break in, you can use lethal force to stop them from breaking in. In West Virginia, if you are outside on your property, raking your leaves, and a person threatens you, you can defend yourself right there in the spot. And the reason for this is density. So New Jersey does have some more rural areas, but they have very big, dense urban areas in the north and the south. So the laws are based upon the dense populations, so the rural folk are cut out. Maryland has a lot of rural areas, and so they are a little bit laxer, but still they're crazy on guns, almost as bad as New Jersey. And then West Virginia's got a lot of middle of nowhere. So they're like, yeah, look, if you own 100 acres and you require someone to run to their house, are you going to run 100 acres? No, you got to defend yourself where you are. So in Maryland, most people have like an acre. You're standing on your front lawn. They say, well, go in your house. If you're in West Virginia, like if we were here, we've got 50 some odd acres. If someone came up to me in the middle of nowhere, I'd be like, well, guess I better see if I can outrun you and get to my house before I can defend myself. That's not how it works. So my point with this is how Democrats operate. They live in a city where they have limited water. So they say the whole country must live the way we do. And it's like, bro, I live in a basin. We got so much water, we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I think it should be local. I don't know exactly what Trump did. Did he end it?
It was a regulation. So the executive order basically allows for appliances not to be low flow. So if people want it,
okay, so people will start producing high flow appliances for the states where they're allowed. Certain states may now mandate we're going to only allow low flow, and so the companies will still build those for those states.
It was literally a regulation limiting how much water could flow from a shower head. What does that have to do with you? You live in the middle of Montana and you're like, I'm on a well. I'm literally the only person for 20 miles.
You can run the shower for 10 hours. What does it matter what the flow is?
Yep. Yeah. It's a lie. It's all fake. I don't know why they do these things, control endgame, but Ian nailed it. You could turn the shower on and let it run 24/7. You could, you're going to be like, I like taking, the low flow shower, it's not going to be clean enough.
Take a twice a long shower.
That's right. The low flow toilet's not flushing. Better flush it 12 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Makes
that's
no
what
sense.
really happens because you don't want a dirty toilet in your house, you know? If it doesn't all go down, you're not going to be like, oh, well, guess I missed my chance.
Limits the amount of water. Why? Because in Chicago, Obama was like, I'm from Chicago, and we got no water.
There were propaganda campaigns. I remember people in, I don't know, I heard people in India or somewhere were like, you're so rich in America that you poop in clean water. It's like water that I would drink, water that we don't have access to in my city. You poop into it. You're that rich.
Dude, you know what I love about Chicago? The people in Chicago literally take dumps in the water they drink. Okay, listen. I make fun of chickens, right? We've talked about how chickens are so dumb. They're too stupid to not take dumps in their water they're drinking. And so it's a problem. They walk around, they crap wherever they stand, and there'll be a big thing of water, and they'll walk over and they'll right into it. So what you buy are these buckets with little nozzles that they pack, and drips of water come out, and they drink that way. Otherwise, they will crap in their water. We make fun of these chickens in Chicago and all the Great Lake cities. They dump their sewage right into the lakes and then drink it up.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Oh.
The conspiracy theory is that when they dye the river green in Chicago on St. Patty's Day, it's actually the annual sewage cover-up.
That's funny.
They're like, dump all the dye in there so that no one can see all the sewage.
I was in South America in Peru and near the Amazon in Iquitos, and there's this little area called Baylin where the government didn't take care of, didn't educate the people. They were indigenous essentially, and they were just poop in the river, in the Ataya River, and then they'd go swim in it and drink it. It wasn't that they were stupid like chickens, although chickens are. That they were ignorant. They just didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know about dysentery. They didn't know. So when we started educating them, they threw garbage on the mayor's lawn. It was a big ordeal, a lot of panic. It felt very dangerous, actually.
So in Chicago, they use a color-coded system. If there's a green flag, it's safe to swim in the lake. If it's yellow, be careful. And if it's red, it's unsafe because of the bacteria and stuff. There was an environmental group in Chicago that did a survey. They approached several hundred people, like 500 people on one summer day, asked them all, what they were doing, how are they doing, if they wanted to participate. and then said, we follow up with you in 3 days. 3 days later, they interviewed all the same people again and found that something like 90+% got diarrhea.
They'd been swimming in the
For swimming in Lake Michigan.
Whoa.
Because what happens is all the cities around Lake Michigan dump all their sewage into it, and it flows down to Chicago, where the Chicagoans are swimming in it.
Oh, God.
Disgusting. Wow. Disgusting.
Yup. And they all know. They all know. Everybody knows. And that's why they have the flags, because they're like, do you want to swim in the feces or not?
And then they just trust the water treatment facilities,
Why?
the government water treatment
you
facilities.
can't treat the whole of the lake. I mean, that's why they have the flags, because they're.
New York, similar. There's this, oh gosh, was it Far Rockaway? I used to live in Far Rockaway in Queens, and or was it Brooklyn? Brooklyn. Man, they had a water treatment facility right there, and the whole area smelled like poop.
The Gowanus Canal.
Look,
Do you know about this?
No.
So in New York, there's this old industrial canal that's like basically closed. And so it's just full of toxic industrial waste and like feces and stuff. And there was, I can't remember what happened. It was a while ago when the hurricane hit, when it was like Sandy or whatever, 10 years ago, everything flooded. And so the Gowanus water flooded into the like streets, and people were like, oh no.
Oh, snap. I was there for that. Not for the canal flowing, though. I got to look it up.
Remember when on Seinfeld, when Kramer was swimming in the was he swimming in the East River?
yeah.
And they all got really sick, or something like that happened. Is that what happened?
I think it was something like that. I remember the.
I love that.
Yo, man, cities run by Democrats.
So maybe we should have different laws for cities. I mean, I guess that's where we're really on the precipice of it.
Guns, though?
We have to. Because
Why?
like you say, a 762 and a tight apartment thing, you just can't trust idiots.
we have-
No, but you go to
just
jail.
can't trust
You can have
have,
it.
like-
You can have it, and you go to jail if it's collateral damage. Like if
But the
we
damage
have-
could be
we
so gruesome, you know?
We have laws against property damage. We have laws against violence against people. We have laws that cover all this stuff. This is something that we talk about fairly regularly, like the idea that just because you have freedom, just because you have liberties, every liberty that you have comes with a responsibility. They're inseparable. Like the idea of having liberty comes with responsibility. You don't get to just have liberty without responsibility.
But the problem is some people have the liberty, but they don't exercise the responsibility.
That's what we have laws for. Like that's what we have like punishments for. But prohibitive laws, like what if you're in New York City, but you like to go, and you go down to Pennsylvania, which is only a couple hours away, and you like to go hunt, right? You shouldn't be allowed to have your rifle in your home.
people are asking to bring up the video where a sewage pipe exploded in China, spraying human waste 33 feet into the air.
That sounds
Holler.
awful.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.